Hey everyone, in this video we're going to learn how to do AJAX with jQuery, and this is going to make our lives way easier. I wanted to show you how to do this with vanilla JavaScript or plain JavaScript like we've been doing because it's important for you to know how to do it, but you will see that doing this using jQuery is way easier. So if you are working on a website that has jQuery loaded, there's no reason why you shouldn't use jQuery for your AJAX requests. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code and let's change a few things here. So we're going to ignore everything we've done here. As you can see, we have to write a lot of code. We need to keep track of the state. Then we need to test if the state is 4 and if the status is 200. Then we need to open the request and send it. With jQuery, we won't have to do any of this. So the way we do this with jQuery, actually, let me do this down here. So this is lesson 48, AJAX with jQuery. All right, so the way we do this is the following. We're gonna call the $sign here, which is what we always do with jQuery. Then we're going to call the AJAX method. So here it is. So open and close parentheses. And as an argument of this method, we are just going to pass an object. So here's the object. Let's start it right now. And inside it, we need to pass some properties. So one of the properties is the URL property, which is going to be the URL of the request. So let's just copy this. So this is the URL. Then we need to pass the type of the request, which we were using the get method. Then something super interesting. Let me show you this. If you pass this data type as JSON, you don't even have to parse the answer because it is going to parse automatically. So we are telling jQuery that we are receiving the response in JSON and we want it as a JavaScript object. So that's enough. And now, as I've said, we don't have to keep track of the status or the state of the request because with jQuery, we have two properties. One for if things go well, and the other one if there's any error. So the one we are going to use if the status is 200, if we receive the response without any problem, is the success method. So here we are going to pass a function. And as an argument of this function is going to be the response text already converted into a JavaScript object. So we can just do this and let's do console.log just so we can check it out. So let's send the data to the console and then let's create another property, which will be the error property. And same thing. We're going to have a function here, but this time we don't need to pass the data. We just need to send to the console that there's an error in the request, just so we know if things go wrong. So that's enough. We just have to do like this. So let's compare with the amount of code that we had to write in JavaScript. With jQuery, this is going to be way easier. We are already going to have the data in a JavaScript object. We already have a case for success and a case for error, which is really cool. So let's comment all this. Alt-Shift-A. And let me save this. Let's go back to our page to test this out. So as you can see, things are working well with our response. And Now we can type the rest of the code we had here. So this for the response, the answers, and then showing them separately in the console. But instead of just pasting this inside here, I don't think we should mix our request with what we're going to do with it, because then we lose a bit of flexibility. So the best thing here would be to have a different function. So let's create a function called present question or something like this. Present, I'm missing a T here. So present question. And right here, I'm just going to pass all that object. So I can call it data. And inside here, I'm just gonna have data here. So data. All right, so now we have this in a separate function. And now when we go inside the success, instead of sending it to the console, we can call our function. So present question. So if the request is successful, we're just going to get the response, which is already coming as an object. Then we're going to execute this function, and this function is going to take care of separating the question and the answers and sending it to the console. So if everything went right, we should be able to see the same thing we had before. So here it is. We have the question, we have the answers. This is very good. So we are able to move on and use jQuery in our project. So before we finish this video, I just want to show you something real quick. Right here, when we have success and error, this is one way of dealing with the status of the request, but there's another way of doing this. So instead of using properties, you could use methods that you can place right after the main method. So here we have the AJAX method that finishes here. So then after doing this, there is one called done. So we can call it like this. And inside here, we're going to pass a callback function with our data. And here we're going to do the same thing. So we don't need the success property anymore. And we could do the same thing for the error. So the name of the method is actually fail. So we would do the same thing here. So another callback function. And if this fails, then we can do this. Now let's erase it and let's try it out. So now we only have 3 properties in this object that we are passing as an argument. And when this request is finished, if the status code is 200, if everything went well, we're going to go inside this done method. If not, we're going to go inside this fail method. Let's save this. Let's refresh the page. And as you can see, we have exactly the same result. I don't know which one do you prefer. I personally prefer to put everything inside our object. I think it's better, more organized like this, unless of course you have a great amount of code that should be executed on success and fail. And if that's the case, maybe it's better to use separate methods. For our example, this is good like this. So this is how I'm going to be working with this. Let's save this to see if nothing broke. Refresh the page. I'm getting it again. So pretty good. We are ready to move forward. I'll see you in the next video.